Well, it's been a little over a week since Wipe and Escape from Tarkov with the Lighthouse patch. And as usual, we've had plenty of changes made since then by BSG. Some of them publicly announced, most of them not. We're going to go over all of those in this video, as well as anything else that happened during the week, so that you're up to date and you know what's going on. Now, we'll do these every Saturday so you don't miss out on anything. So make sure you're subscribed with that notification bell so that you don't miss out on any things like changes to gun stats or boss spawns or maybe stuff that moved around on the traders. Especially since BSG doesn't always tell us about these things in a tweet or in any kind of announcement setup. Now, since Wipe, we've seen everything from changes to 5.56 ammo stats, boss spawns, a handful of bug fixes, changes to the kappa requirements, raid timers, and many, many more. So let's just get right into them and get you up to speed. So when it comes to 5.56, we saw a bunch of changes to a bunch of ammos, but we'll all only talk about the ones that really are important because most of them we just don't end up using very often. First up is 995. It had its damage buffed from 40 to 42. This is important because it means you'll once again be able to one-shot rogues and raiders in the head as long as you're under 50 meters. Now, for 855A1, we saw changes to both damage and penetration. The damage was increased from 46 to 49, but its penetration was reduced from 45 to 44. Then with that, 856A1 had its damage increased from 51 to 54. And then SSAAP, which is the round you can only find in raid, had its damage and pen both increased. Its damage went from 36 to 38, and pen went from 56 to 57. Now, overall, I wouldn't call these changes massive. They're more like tweaks, but I need some time playing with them and using them to get a real good feel for what the changes mean, and not just what they say on paper. Moving on, we got boss spawn changes. Overall, most of the bosses got buffed from a 10% spawn chance to 15% spawn chance. Now, Tequila's a little bit different with his Night Factory stuff. He went from, it looks like up to 10%. And then the rogue bosses got a 2% bump across the different locations where they can spawn. We also got some more bug fixes aside from the ones we talked about earlier in the Today in Tarkov from this week. They're pretty straightforward, so we'll just run down them here real quick. The F13 key is no longer set when changing control settings with GeForce Experience. They fixed incorrect behavior of bots during sprinting. They have some kind of fix with the usage of ultra quality textures, regardless of what's set in your settings. And this has to do with players that have MIP streaming set. So hopefully this undoes the issue where you had to go into your settings and like manually in the files change your MIP streaming setting. They also fixed bugs with the interface behavior when using NVIDIA Reflex, as well as one that was really bothering everybody. There was a bug that made it impossible to loot airdrops. So that one's been addressed finally. Apparently there was some issue with using resampling NVGs that they also corrected. And then lastly, they corrected the display of the VoIP icon when you're using 2560 by 1080, which I think is just ultra wide. After that, we were all let know by the guys over at Tarkov Changes that they changed kappa from the level requirement from 62 to 55. Now, all the other requirements are pretty much still there, but this is actually a really big change. It might only look like it's 7 levels, but with how BSG's experience or Tarkov's experience works, it's like a 35% reduction in the amount of XP you need. 62 is about 9.9 mil, and 55 is just about 6.6 million. So it's a pretty substantial reduction how much XP you need to get to kappa. Another change that we see frequently as wipes go on, when they usually start off with a new wipe and a patch and it's really busy, they'll lower the raid duration. So instead of having 40 minutes on customs, you have 35 or 30. And that's just to get people turned over and get more people in the raids and reduce your wait time. But we're starting to see them tick those back up. And on woods and customs, for example, we saw it go from 35 to 40 minutes. But with this, the base cooldown timer for your scav runs has been increased from 20 to 25. And this, again, I believe is an effort to reduce the load times for people trying to get into scavs on certain maps and stuff like that. And then the G36, it got a little bit of love. It had its overall recoil reduced by about 10%, but then its dispersion decreased quite a bit as well. So if you used it early wipe and you didn't like it, maybe give it another try now, see how it works, see what it looks like, and just get a feel for it. Because keep in mind, the stats and numbers don't always mean everything. Scar has worse stats than an M4, but in a lot of ways it shoots better. So just go give it a try and see what you think if the changes are good or not. Now, the last thing we'll go over is trader changes. First big one to talk about is the MK12 low profile gas block. It is no longer on loyalty level 1 mechanic. It's now on loyalty level 2, but they did move the Wyndham weaponry or gas block to level 1 mechanic, so you still have one available. Now, if you're not seeing it on mechanic, real quick, it's easy to get it. You'll be able to get it off the flea market still from mechanic. It's a workaround of the bug. Just go in and type in Wind Ham. So Wind and Ham together, and it's right here. The AR-15 Wyndham weaponry rail gas block. It's right there on mechanic, 6,000 rubles. You'll be able to buy it. It doesn't run out like the other one did. So it's there. Just make sure you know how to get it even if you don't see it on mechanic. Now, along with this, they also moved M80, 7.62x51 M80, the primary round for a lot of those kind of guns, was moved from Peacekeeper 2 to Peacekeeper 3, so it's no longer available. But with that, they also added a P63 to Peacekeeper 3. We haven't been able to buy this from the traders for a long time. It's back on there, stacks of 90. I think it's about $100 or it's $7, $7.1 per round. It's kind of pricey, but it's a decent 9mm round you can buy now. But that pretty much wraps it up. Glad I got you guys up to speed. Hope it was helpful. We'll keep doing these. I like them, like getting you guys the information. So we'll wrap her up there. Wish you the best of luck in your raids, and we'll see you in Tarkov.